Welcome back, dudes. My name's Rob. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to wire in a brake controller on a Chevy Astro or GMC Safari, because we are going to tow this halfway across country. This is our 2006 Chalet pop-up hardshell A-frame camper. It's kind of cool because it's insulated, and it has a 7-pin connector. And this is a little different than the 4-pin that most Astros typically have, just because it's got power to charge these batteries when you're driving, it's got reverse lights, and it has electric brakes, which is why we are going to install the brake controller. So the brake controller I'm using is a Hopkins Agility. I'll put a link down there. One thing that's kind of nice is it's inertia based. It's not just proportional control. So when you hit the brakes, the harder you hit the brakes, the harder it's going to make your trailer brake. This is where I mounted it. This is the manual override right here. And we're gonna see how it works. But first, I'm gonna show you how to install it. So let's jump back. So basically, on almost every Astro, you want to look in the back corner here near the taillight, right where your jack is, and you're going to find a gray wiring harness, and that's going to have almost everything you need for this project right here. So if you want to go now, this is all you need. Go for it. Use the wiring diagrams. Now you can get two kinds of these. One of this has a little L bracket and it'll hang down underneath your bumper. I don't really like that style. It just looks weird to me. So we're gonna drill a hole right in this bumper. I put some tape here to hopefully prevent it from chipping out. But if you look at the height, it'll actually fit below this body line on the bumper. So we're just gonna center it there and shoot a hole in it with, I think this is a, yeah, it's a 2-inch hole saw. All right, we got this mounted. All right, now all the wiring's just laying back there. Now we need to get this gray harness out from under the van. We're gonna do that in this corner, just drill a hole, and then we're gonna put a grommet and some silicone to seal it up from moisture. So we're just gonna be drilling down here. I'm hoping I'm not gonna hit the cross member under the van, but we'll see. Might take a couple tries. All right, boys, finished wiring this thing up. One thing to note, you can find the color codes for your wiring harness in your van online, but that should have everything you need in this little bundle here. For wiring the brake controller itself, you're gonna need 4 wires. One of them needs to go directly to the battery. Instead of going all the way to the battery, I just went to this post right here. This is the factory accessory post that upfitters can use. Because electric brakes can use a fair amount of power, this has to be a heavy gauge wire. I believe it's 12 gauge. And I'm running it right here to a circuit breaker. And the reason you want to run a circuit breaker instead of a fuse is because if this goes out, you want it to come back on. With a fuse, once it blows, you're not going to have trailer brakes anymore. So we mounted this as close as we could to the actual part right here. And then you're going to run that 12 gauge wire into the passenger compartment of the van. Now, I could not find a ton of easy spots to do it. I'll show you where I did it. All right, what you're going to want to do is, here are your pedals. Right back here, I believe this is your speedometer cable, and it goes into a little flat spot in the metal. So what I did is I drilled out a hole just big enough for that 12 gauge wire, and I installed a grommet right there. I think I'm still gonna put some silicone on there to help seal it up a little better, but that's just running over here to the brake controller. The other wire you need to hook up, it's gonna be a big thick blue wire with attached to nothing. This is where it is on mine. It just sort of came out of the back corner there. Look for that wire. That wire, you're actually gonna hook up to the brake controller for the actual power that goes to the electric brakes. So that's already in your van, which is awesome. The only other 2 wires left are, you need to ground this thing. The other wire you're gonna need to do is to wire it to the brake pedal itself. So what you're gonna wanna do is look up under here, and you're gonna see a connector right here, right where your brake pedal goes to. It's the white wire. I did use a vampire tap because it's really hard to get to. So hopefully this works. It's not gonna move much. So after that, you're done. You have your power, you have your brake pedal light, and you have your wire that runs all the way back to the van to provide the power to the brakes itself. All right, before we tow this thing, we gotta get down, Sarah. So the way you take these down, super easy. Got a lever here, a lever here. All right, we are towing the trailer. I'm gonna show you how the brake controller works quick. So as I hit the brakes, you're gonna see a number pop up. And that's how much power it's giving to the trailer brake. So right now I'm not on the brakes, and if I hit it hard, you can see it just gave it 25% power. There's a plus and a minus button here. This gives you more or less braking force. So we're gonna set it at 50 in the middle, and then we're just gonna hit the brakes aggressively, and if the trailer brakes lock up, then I need to back it off a little bit. Make sure no one's behind you when you're doing this. So I'm gonna turn it up. Let's try 70. Well, that got up to 65 and it still didn't chirp. Turn it up to 85, see what happens. I'm gonna hit the brakes hard, emergency stop. You can also adjust the sensitivity on the side here. That's how quickly it's gonna ramp up the braking on the trailer. Well, it towed awesome. I mean, you can't even really tell it was back there. To be honest, even when I turned the controller all the way up, I could not get the trailer brakes to lock. The only way I could even tell they were working is if I pressed the button without hitting the brakes in the van, I could get them to lock up and be like, "Arr!" But even all the way up, they're not locking. So I left it at 70%.
But they're working?
Yeah, definitely.
You can feel it? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can feel it when they're off versus when they're on. So she's towing great, and yeah, thanks for watching. We're gonna have more adventures with this thing when we get out west, and we're gonna build an A-frame over the A-frame because yo dog, I heard you like A-frames, right? All right, cheers dudes, till next time.
All right, temporary home for the pop-up A-frame until we finish the driveway.